Hello students, welcome to MJC Learning. Today we are going to learn the subtopic web hosting from the chapter Advanced Web Designing, which will be the concluding theory part of chapter 1. So let's begin. In this session, we will be covering some short theory topics, that is intro to web designing, web host, and types of web hosting. In the earlier videos, we have learned about HTML5 language and its use in advanced web designing. We have learned various tags and attributes with their syntax and how to use those tags in different programs. Now, combining all these HTML5 elements, we can design attractive web pages. But it is of no use making a website simply and not hosting it. So, in order to publish your website online, your website requires a web hosting service. Web hosting service. In today's world, everything is done online. Having an online presence allows you to reach others in ways that were previously not possible. However, starting a website can be a confusing and a daunting task. The basics of web hosting include understand what web hosting is, learning how data is stored, its bandwidth and uptime. These all factors impact your website and what type of hosting is appropriate for your business. So what is web hosting? Web hosting is the service of providing storage space. Web hosting is an account on a computer or a server that can store and serve website files via the internet. These web pages are made available via World Wide Web. Websites are hosted or stored on special computers called servers. When internet users want to view your website, all they need to do is type your website address or domain into their browser. Now next is, what is a web host? That was about the process of hosting. Now this is, what is the web host? A web host or a web hosting service provider is a business that provides the technologies and services needed for the website or a web page to be viewed on the internet. Websites are hosted or stored on special computers called servers. So the companies which offer website hosting are known as web host. These are the companies which offer space. They own and manage web servers. These web servers offer uninterrupted internet connectivity to your websites, and the servers on which the website is hosted remain switched on 24 by 7. So the servers are run by web hosting companies. Each server has its own IP address. You can buy your own web server space, but it is very expensive way to publish your website. Also, it might not be possible to host your website on local computer because you will have to leave your computer on 24 hours a day, which is not practical and cheaper as well. This is where web hosting companies come in and do the hosting work for you. But without hosting, your website is not visible to people. Some of the hosting companies are Blue Hosting, GoDaddy, Laughing Squid, Liquid Web, etc. So this was the basic part about a web host. So these are the web hosting service providers for a business that provide the technologies and services needed for a website for it to be viewed on the internet. Now there are three types of hosting. One by one we will be learning in detail. So web hosting comes in many forms. Hosting plans can handle everything from a simple website with a few visitors to an online app with thousands of users on a daily basis. So some host plans are better for small to medium businesses. Now there are here three types of hosting. The first one is shared web hosting. Second is free web hosting. And third is dedicated web hosting. So these are the three types of hosting. Let's take a look at the difference between the three types and why it matters. What type of web hosting services you use. So the first part is shared hosting. Shared hosting is usually the most affordable option. Your website will be hosted on a server that is shared by hundreds of other customers. That is why the pricing is low. Now, this type of hosting is advantageous for beginners, those with less content on the website. If you have very less content or data on your website which is to be displayed, then this type of hosting is used. Or those that have a low amount of daily traffic, incoming, outgoing. But when shared hosting is not sufficient for sites with high traffic, high volume sites should look for a dedicated hosting solution, which is another type. So for shared hosting, uh, high volume sites should are not used, which will be going for dedicated hosting, which is explained in the third topic. So this was about the first type. Second is the free hosting. Free hosting provides free non-paid web hosting services, which is available for a limited period of time. For those who rely on strict budgets, for them it is always the option of going with a free hosting plan. It can be easy for startup businesses that have yet to make a profit to want to get in on a free hosting plan. So free hosting doesn't have generally had a great reputation for speed, uptime, and availability. If you are the only person seeing your website, a free host is fine. But if you want the world to see your website, then you have to stay away from this type of free hosting plans. This is not recommended. The third type is dedicated hosting. Dedicated hosting are paid hosting servers for large websites. In other words, you are renting an entire physical server from the hosting company and storing all of your site's data on it by itself. Here you have complete control over the server, which means you can install complex applications and scripts which are not available with shared hosting plans. Dedicated servers often provide better security. They are best suited for large websites which have thousands of visitors each day. But the downside of a dedicated hosting plan is that you need to have a lot of technical knowledge to ensure that your server runs smoothly. So this was about the three types of hosting: shared, free, and dedicated. So when you're hosting your website, you should see your pros and cons and decide which type of hosting you'll be going for. So to conclude, a web hosting service ensures a hassle-free experience for everybody with the websites running 24 by 7 on the internet. That's all for this session. I hope you had a nice time learning this interesting topic. Thank you.